The last of my basic equations is a Countif function. And so what a Countif function will do is going to look through a whole data set and figure out how many times that value shows up in that data set. And this could be useful if you want to find out how many Fs a student has out of all the data of all Fs given to students. You can see like how many times a certain value shows up. You can see how many times a certain item is selected. So Countif function is just simply that. It's going to count how many things are equal to that, what you're looking for. So this was my large data set before. You can see I had a lot. I just added the student IDs multiple times so they show up multiple times. Then I did a unique function to pull out just those unique values. And again, I have a video on that. And now we're going to do the Countif. So I'm just going to count how many times that value showed up. So I'm going to go equal, Countif, then it's going to ask for a range. Go back to my main data here. I'm going to click and hold down and then drag all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to pick that whole column. I hit comma. And the criterion. Now in this case here, the way I'm using the value is I want to know how many times that value shows up in that whole data set. And so I can then put my close parentheses and enter. So that value shows up 3 times. Now, let's say I want to apply that for all of these values, see how many times they show up. Now, in order to do that, I need to make my range get fixed. Because if I drag this down, you'll see that this went from B3 to B4, because that's what it does when you drag down an equation. I want to lock that in place. So one way is to use the $ trick. It's going to lock those values. Another way to do it is just say from B to B, and it would say the full column. So now I can drag this down, and every one of these should show up 3 times because I copied the data 3 times. Now another way I could do a Countif is I could say, if I'm looking through all that data, let's say how many of these are greater than 200. And it said error, formula parse error. It's because I have to put in my quotation marks around it. This is why you always look at the example. And 60 of them were above that. And there were 60 data sets. All of them should be above that since they're all 1,000 or more. So you can see how I can use the Countif to look for how many times a specific thing shows up in a data set. Or I could look at for ranges. How many things equal to or greater than, equal to, less than, equal to show up in that data set. So Countif is a very useful equation if you have a lot of data and you just need to know how many times a certain thing happens. The way I've used it is I want to see how many Fs did that student get out of a full F list, or how many times was that student teacher requested for an intervention based off our intervention logs.